Hello, Internet! It's Zach with Midwest Preservation again. It's been a long year and we haven't posted a whole ton of long form updates, so let's take a walk around the shop and see what we've been up to and have a little talk about it. We have our intrepid machine crew, including our fellow YouTuber, My Little Mule, who hates to have his face on camera. And of course, Pete. Pete, what you working on?
We are working on a handle for, don't say 2100, is that?
Yeah, it's 2100.
American Freedom Train. I was putting it in the slots.
Number
American
250.
Freedom Train 250. So
And,
this is the oil power quadrant. So there's this quadrant slides over this shaft like such, right? And there's a bronze bushing, and then this handle will go over
connects
top of
on
the square
there. Yeah.
end that we just finished machining. We still have to drill the pin, and this is what will then control that oil flow.
Oil flow. So these guys are, as always, hard at work on some little bit of manufacturing or remanufacturing of steam locomotive parts using, of course, period-appropriate equipment and expertise.
Well, I'm not sure if this is quite period appropriate, because this was probably built 50 years after the locomotive that it's going in.
Well, still, it's all analog. It's all analog gear. Not an integrated circuit in this room.
No CNC here.
All right. That's most of the fun of the back shop, shown off with our big lathes and big bridge ports. Let's go back to the roundhouse. All right, we are now back here in the roundhouse itself. Not entirely alone. And behind me over here in stall 1 is one of our Pullman cars, the Mount Baxter. Now, Mount Baxter has been the car that's been in the shop the longest, or I suppose I should say, has not been on the road in the longest time. See, the problem we've had with Mount Baxter is a problem very common to heavyweight cars, which is these window pillars will tend to rot out. And what happens then is that the entire top of the car can collapse down, which is very, very bad. So what does that mean? That means you need to replace them. And that means you have to cut them out and you have to weld in new steel. And that is much, much easier said than done. Because, like most vintage cars, Mount Baxter is insulated with horsehair. Very old, very dry horsehair that loves to take a spark. So you have to be very, very careful when you're working on it, and that's taken a long time, which means that Mount Baxter has been a project that's been worked on mostly in fits and starts as we've had the capacity to do so. Because Mount Baxter is lower capacity than some of our other cars, it's a little bit less desirable on the excursion circuit. Let's take a look at another one of our projects. Up in stall 3, it's a bird. It's a plane. It's car number 90. Let's take a look inside and I'll show you what we've been up to. Now, car number 90 has kind of become a classic story of the in and out project, the one quick project that really just spiraled out of hand. And I'll point out some of the differences you can see in here from the left side of the car to the right. The left side of the car is mostly done. The right side needs to be caught up. So, if you look up at the ceiling, you can see that in some places there's some peeling paint. Yeah, we're knocking most of that down and repainting where we can. You also see that the roof over on the left side, there's a bunch of new panels up here, and the ribbing is a lot closer together compared to on the right. That's because we're replacing the ceiling panels, mostly for aesthetic reasons, but if you look closely, you can see where the time and the years have just worn this car down. And frankly, with all these little imperfections, it was getting hard to be proud to send this car out on the road. So ultimately, we wanted to do it right and really not have to worry about this car for a while. So you can see that we replaced the roof panels with new plywood sheets, and we got the screws all buttoned up there, which of course necessitated taking down the luggage rack. We also have manufactured new window shades. And these window shades, compared to the old ones, which were getting very torn and very tattered, these window shades should last a good long time. We've reused most of the original equipment on those window shades. We're very pleased with that. We also redid the lower section of the car where we repainted and chipped off a lot of the old paint. And you can see that process is in progress on the other side, as well as having been taken down. So 90 is very much a work in progress. The other thing, we've actually gotten grant money to complete this part of the project, is that at the end of the car here, there is a lavatory. And we are going to be putting our lavatory back in service. We do have all the fittings and fixtures required. You can see that piece is a little bit of a work in progress, but we'll have a nice working lavatory here when we're all done with it, when before all we would have had is really a storage cubby. Another thing to note on number 90, you can see these big old tank brackets have been added. Those will be holding the water tanks that will service our newly added bathroom. So, as I said, this car is really kind of an example. Any DIYer will tell you, you let your scope creep up on your projects, and that quick in and out 4-week turnaround suddenly becomes an all-year thing. But it's worth it, because it means that the car will be protected and the car will be something that we are proud to send out on the road, proud to put on our CT&VX reporting mark, and something that we believe hundreds and hundreds of people can enjoy riding in and just really take in and appreciate the quality, the historicity, and the modest luxury that old-fashioned rail travel could offer. And finally, we're over here in stall 4, where lives the 4070. Now, 4070 herself hasn't gotten a ton of work done on her directly this year, since we're mostly focused on raising the funds for the frame repair. And the good news is that we have been making progress on that. We have a little over $10,000 raised as of December 9th of 2024, but we're still looking for additional donations to get that done. One of the most important parts of any steam locomotive restoration is, of course, making sure that the pressure vessel is good. And as you can see up here, we've been checking and rechecking our ultrasonic survey. Our original ultrasound was done quite a few years ago now, which means that it's probably worth checking to make sure that those readings are still valid. Now, the good news is that everything we've been checking, we've been finding that those readings are remaining consistent, and the pressure vessel is remaining, for the most part, in very good condition, with a few small exceptions that were originally identified in the original survey. One final thing to show off with 4070 is the cab. The cab has been brought in here to stall 4, and you can see the line tracings on the cab wall where we have marked out where our fake rivets will go. As you can see, this lower side sheet is all new steel. However, we are going to be adding some cosmetic rivet detail. We have that all marked out, and we'll get that drilled out on a rainy day when there's nothing more urgent to do. But then again, I suppose there's always something more urgent to do, as again, any good project manager knows. But it will get done, and then we'll have a nice cab, and we'll be able to paint it up and have a nice little display cab until we're ready to put it back on the locomotive. Also in stall 4, we have our drop pit, which was dug out earlier this year, and there's a whole separate video about the process of cleaning that out and getting it up and running. We are putting our finishing touches on being able to get that into service. We haven't had much demand to drop wheel sets yet. The original intention was that it would be used to drop 4070's pony truck. However, there is going to be additional utility for some projects related to 2100, as well as our rail car servicing process. As you can see, the reason that car number 90 is up in the air is because it was having some truck service done. And if wheel sets can be swapped on trucks without having to lift the whole car in the air, it means we can be much more efficient about our activities. And we are always a fan of getting better at the things we do. That's going to mark the close of our Inside the Roundhouse tour. It is December of 2024. This is Zach signing off. We'll see you all in the new year.